Why am I in this room? I had a reason, a very good reason. Why am I in this room? I got here successfully, that's all I know. I stood up with purpose, with direction, with confidence. I left one room, entered another, like a person who had a plan halfway through the journey. Everything vanished, the mission, the objective, the entire plot. The confidence remains. Surprisingly, why am I in this room? I had a reason, a very good reason. Why am I in this room? I got here successfully, that's all I know. The navigation worked, the memory didn't, and somehow that's becoming a pattern. I checked the desk, I checked the shelf, I looked around for clues, like a detective investigating a crime committed by my own brain. Then I saw the thing I originally needed and immediately remembered why I came here for almost 3 seconds. Progress was made briefly. Why am I in this room? The destination arrived before the explanation. Why am I in this room? Every answer creates 2 new questions. The mystery deepens, the confidence persists, and nobody seems prepared to stop me. Maybe this is what being human is, walking into rooms for reasons you completely forget, then standing there like you've just arrived in a foreign country, waiting for your brain to catch up with your legs. Why am I in this room? Not because the room is confusing, not because the journey was difficult, not because memory has officially resigned. Why am I in this room? Because somewhere between intention and arrival, my brain decided that the information was no longer needed. And honestly, I suspect it'll happen again before the day is over. I open the fridge again. Maybe this time the answers are inside. I opened the fridge again. Hope is a powerful thing. I wasn't hungry, not exactly. I wasn't thirsty, not really. But somehow I found myself standing in front of their refrigerator like it was a wise old mentor about to reveal important knowledge. The light came on, my expectations rose. I opened the fridge again. Maybe this time the answers are inside. I opened the fridge again. Hope is a powerful thing. The yogurt was there, the leftovers were there. Everything was exactly where it had been 5 minutes ago. I stared at the shelves like a scientist reviewing evidence. Perhaps something new had appeared. Perhaps a snack had evolved. Perhaps the universe had finally decided to reward my persistence. Instead, there was cheese, the same cheese as before. Consistency is important, apparently. I opened the fridge again. The inventory isn't changed, the optimism remains. I opened the fridge again, and honestly, I respect my commitment. Some people chase dreams, I chase the possibility of discovering a better snack. Maybe we're all looking for something, a little excitement, a little comfort, a little surprise. And sometimes the closest available option is checking the refrigerator for the third time this hour. I open the fridge again, not because food magically appears, not because the shelves are hiding secrets, not because the refrigerator has become sentient. I open the fridge again because somewhere deep down I believe that opening the same door one more time might somehow lead to a different outcome. And honestly, that's probably the most human thing I've done all day.
I forgot why I came here. The destination survived, the purpose did not. I forgot why I came here. This seemed important a moment ago. I was doing something useful, at least that's my understanding. I had a mission, a task, an objective, a tiny adventure with a clear beginning and presumably a clear ending. Then I arrived and the entire plan left the building. The walking part went extremely well. I forgot why I came here. The destination survived, the purpose did not. I forgot why I came here. This seemed important a moment ago. My legs remembered, my brain resigned, and now we're all just improvising. I looked around for clues like an archaeologist, studying ruins created approximately 4 seconds ago. A chair, a table, a doorway, a suspiciously familiar environment. Surely one of these things would explain why I was here. Instead, I became distracted by something else entirely. A new mystery has appeared. I forgot why I came here. The evidence is limited, the confidence remains. I forgot why I came here, and somehow that feels normal. At this point, I've accepted several things about adulthood. This is one of them. Maybe memory isn't broken, maybe it's selective. Maybe my brain looked at the task, looked at the available storage, and decided something had to go. Unfortunately, it chose the important part. I forgot why I came here, not because the journey was difficult, not because the destination moved, not because reality changed without warning. I forgot why I came here, because somewhere between intention and arrival, my brain successfully completed a software update and forgot to save the file.
The song is still stuck in my head. It's been here for 3 days. The song is still stuck in my head. At this point, it's paying rent. I heard one chorus, one single chorus, a perfectly harmless little melody. Nothing dramatic, nothing dangerous, nothing that came with the warning label. Now it's playing on repeat inside my brain. With a commitment I deeply respect and strongly oppose, the radio stopped. The song continued. The song is still stuck in my head. It's been here for 3 days. The song is still stuck in my head. At this point, it's paying rent. I know the lyrics, I know the rhythm, I know the tiny little part that keeps repeating the most. I tried replacing it with another song, a risky strategy that only created a playlist. I tried silence, the song disagreed. I tried concentrating on important things. The song apparently felt left out and returned even louder. Persistence is admirable in the wrong context. The song is still stuck in my head. The artist has moved on, I have not. The song is still stuck in my head, and honestly, it's starting to feel like a roommate. We spend a lot of time together. Maybe this is how memories work. Not the birthdays, not the passwords, not the useful information, just one random chorus from Tuesday, occupying valuable space like it owns the property. The song is still stuck in my head, not because it's the greatest song ever written, not because my brain requested an encore, not because the universe is testing me. The song is still stuck in my head because somewhere deep inside my memory decided this was essential information. And honestly, if I ever forget my own name, I suspect I'll still remember this chorus. I need a nap. After my nap, the nap was supposed to solve this. I need a nap after my nap, and frankly, I'm disappointed. I was feeling tired, a little slow, a little sleepy, a little convinced that the solution was obvious. Just a quick nap, nothing ambitious, nothing dramatic, just 20 minutes of strategic recovery. That's what I told myself. Anyway, the alarm had plans, I had other plans. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. After my nap, oh, the nap was supposed to solve this. I need a nap. After my nap, oh, and frankly, I'm disappointed. I closed my eyes, opened my eyes, and somehow the situation had become more complicated. I woke up in a different century, or at least that's how it felt. The sunlight changed my schedule, changed my confidence, changed. I checked the clock checked me. Neither of us liked the results of that conversation. Time passed, very aggressively. I need a nap, after my nap, the energy is missing, the confusion remains. I need a nap, after my nap, and honestly, the nap seems tired too. I've reached a point where resting requires additional resting. Maybe adulthood is just discovering new forms of exhaustion. Physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, the kind of exhaustion that survives an entire afternoon, dedicated to eliminating it. I need a nap, after my nap, not because naps are ineffective, not because sleep is broken, not because the couch betrayed me. I need a nap, after my nap, because somehow I turned a refreshing break into a complex project, and now I'm tired from resting, which feels like a very human achievement. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow is where everything changes. Tomorrow will be different. I've got a really good feeling this time. Tonight is full of ambition, of plans, of possibilities. The future looks incredibly organized. From a distance, I'm gonna wake up earlier, eat healthier, be productive, learn things, finish things, and somehow become the person I've been promising to become. The optimism is strong, the evidence is pending. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow is where everything changes. Tomorrow will be different. I've got a really good feeling this time. New habits, new mindset, new chapter, new me. I've already imagined the montage sequence. I've made a list, a detailed list, a color-coded list, the kind of list that suggests a bright future. Every goal looks achievable, every challenge looks manageable, every version of tomorrow looks suspiciously excellent. Planning is easy at 10:47 p.m. Tomorrow will be different. The strategy is ready, the transformation is imminent. Tomorrow will be different. This is absolutely the turning point. I've said that before, I've underlined it. Maybe tomorrow really is different. Maybe tomorrow is the beginning of something great. Maybe all meaningful change starts with believing that things can improve. Maybe, actually, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tomorrow will be different, not because life changes overnight, not because one good plan fixes everything, not because enthusiasm is a superpower. Tomorrow will be different because tonight I genuinely believe it. And honestly, that's enough to make me excited for the morning. Tomorrow was not different. I checked several times. Tomorrow was not different. The sequel did not improve. I woke up full of optimism, well, mostly optimism and a small amount of confusion. The plan was ready, the goals were ready, the future was ready. Unfortunately, I was still the same person who made the plan yesterday. This feels like an important detail. Tomorrow was not different. I checked several times. Tomorrow was not different. The sequel did not improve. The list survived, the enthusiasm faded, and reality arrived right on schedule. I was supposed to wake up early, I woke up eventually. I was supposed to exercise, I exercised my ability to postpone things. I was supposed to become a brand new person. Instead, I became the old person with a new checklist. Transformation takes longer than one night, apparently. Tomorrow was not different. The strategy existed, the execution wandered off. Tomorrow was not different, and honestly, I should have seen this coming. The goals remain, the dream remains, the version of me who has everything together remains mostly theoretical. Maybe this isn't a failure. Maybe this is how change works. Not all at once, not overnight, not in a dramatic montage with inspirational music. Maybe progress is slower and considerably less be a lot more real. And honestly, that's a little disappointing and a little comforting at the same time. Tomorrow was Why did I open this tab? There was a reason, a very good reason. Why did I open this tab? I've arrived with no instructions. I was researching something important. At least that's what I told myself. 1 click became 2 clicks, 2 clicks became 7, 7 clicks became a fascinating article about medieval spoons, which I now know far too much about. The internet has many roads, I took all of them. Why did I open this tab? There was a reason, a very good reason. Why did I open this tab? I've arrived with no instructions. The browser remembers the journey, I do not, and somehow that feels unfair. I examined the evidence, a search result, a video, 3 unrelated websites, and a shopping page for something I don't need. Surely one of these clues would reveal my original mission. Instead, I found another tab and opened it immediately. The mystery expands at impressive speed. Why did I open this tab? The question is growing, the answers are hiding. Why did I open this tab? And how many tabs are involved now? At this point, the browser window looks less like research and more like an ecosystem. Maybe every tab represents a version of myself, a curious self, a distracted self, a self-comparing prices for products I'll never buy, a self-watching videos to avoid doing the thing I started doing in the first place. Why did I open this tab? Not because the internet is confusing, not because information is infinite, not because my attention span has filed for retirement. Why did I open this tab? Because somewhere between curiosity and distraction, my brain quietly decided the original objective could wait. And honestly, it's probably waiting in another tab right now. I thought today was Wednesday. I was completely prepared for Wednesday. I thought today was Wednesday. The calendar had other ideas. I woke up feeling confident, organized, focused, the kind of confidence usually reserved for people who know what day it is. I made plans based on Wednesday. I thought about Wednesday. I mentally committed to Wednesday. Then somebody said, "Happy Tuesday," and everything collapsed. Reality can be very disruptive. I thought today was Wednesday. I was completely prepared for Wednesday. I thought today was Wednesday. The calendar had other ideas. My schedule shifted, my certainty vanished, and suddenly I was negotiating with time itself. The worst part wasn't being wrong. The worst part was how long I remained confident about being wrong. I corrected someone, then another person, then briefly considered correcting the calendar before evidence became overwhelming. Confidence travels faster than accuracy. time it remained. I thought today was Wednesday, and honestly, I still have questions. If yesterday felt like Monday, and today felt like Wednesday, then where exactly did Tuesday go? Maybe adulthood changes time. Weeks move faster, months disappear, and suddenly you're discussing future plans for a year. That sounds fictional. The days keep moving, whether you're ready or not. I thought today was Wednesday, not because calendars are complicated, not because time is broken, not because Tuesday secretly changed its name. I thought today was Wednesday because somewhere between responsibilities, deadlines, and some grocery shopping, my brain stopped tracking the details. And honestly, the fact that I knew it was a weekday feels like a win. My password is apparently wrong again. I know this password, I've met this password. My password is apparently wrong again. One of us is confused. The login screen appeared with confidence and expectation. It asked me a simple question, a question I should have answered years ago. I typed the password carefully, slowly, respectfully. The website disagreed immediately. This relationship has become strained. My password is apparently wrong again. I know this password, I've met this password. My password is apparently wrong again. One of us is confused. I've used it before, I've remembered it before. I've successfully entered this exact combination of mysterious symbols before. Maybe it needed a capital letter. Maybe it wanted a special character. Maybe it demanded an offering to the ancient gods of account security. I tried another version, then another, then the version I swore I wouldn't forget. This time, hope remains surprisingly durable. Is mounting, the confidence remains. My password is apparently wrong again, and we're approaching a difficult conversation. The website says incorrect password. I say incorrect attitude. People always ask, why not use a password manager? That's a great question for somebody who remembers the password to their password manager. Personally, I'm trying to maintain a more adventurous lifestyle. My password is apparently wrong again. Not because security is bad, not because the website hates me, not because the internet enjoys personal challenges. My password is apparently wrong again, because at some point I created a brilliant system to keep hackers out, and accidentally included myself in the plan. I walked into the wrong room confidently, that's the important part. I walked into the wrong room, but nobody could tell at first. I had direction, I had purpose, I had the posture of a person who absolutely knew where they were going. I turned the corner, opened the door, entered the room without hesitation, without doubt, without the slightest clue. I was wrong. Confidence arrived before information. I walked into the wrong room confidently, that's the important part. I walked into the wrong room and nobody could tell at first. I looked around like I belonged there, which bought me several valuable seconds. The people stopped talking, the room went quiet, a classic sign that something may have happened. I considered leaving immediately, but that would suggest a mistake. So instead I nodded thoughtfully as if I were evaluating the situation on purpose. Improvisation is powerful when necessary. I walked into the wrong room, the destination was wrong, the attitude was right. I walked into the wrong room and committed fully to the experience. At one point I almost convinced myself I was supposed to be there. Maybe confidence isn't knowing what you're doing. Maybe confidence is walking into an obviously incorrect situation and somehow believing additional information will arrive later to support your decision. And accuracy, I pick certainty, and honestly, I think that's how most embarrassing stories begin. I had a reason for this, a very good reason, I'm pretty sure. I had a reason for this, now I just need to remember it. I found a note on my desk written by me, for me, a helpful system in theory, a message from the past to the future. Unfortunately, the note said, don't forget, and absolutely nothing else. Communication has occurred, clarity has not. I had a reason for this, a very good reason, I'm pretty sure. I had a reason for this, now I just need to remember it. The evidence exists, the explanation doesn't, and somehow those feel like different departments. I discovered an object in a location that raised questions. A receipt, a charger, a sticky note attached to another sticky note. Surely this was part of a larger plan, a brilliant plan, a necessary plan, a plan currently missing several pages. Past me remains remarkably unhelpful. I had a reason for this, the confidence survives, the context is gone. I had a reason for this, and honestly, that's enough to keep me searching for at least another hour. Maybe everybody leaves clues for their future self. Lists, reminders, alarms, calendar events, tiny breadcrumbs scattered through life. And maybe future self spends most of the time trying to decode them, like an archaeologist studying ancient nonsense. I had a reason for this, not because the reason was bad, not because the plan failed, not because memory officially retired. I had a reason for this because at some point everything made sense. And honestly, I trust past me just enough to believe there was a reason, even if neither of us can remember what it was. I forgot the person's name mid-conversation. At the worst possible moment, I forgot the person's name, and now we're both taking risks. The conversation started perfectly friendly, normal, professional, the kind of interaction people have every day. Then my brain performed a remarkable maneuver. It deleted exactly one piece of information, the important piece. The face remained, the name resigned. I forgot the person's name mid-conversation. At the worst possible moment, I forgot the person's name, and now we're both taking risks. I've known this person for months, possibly years, which somehow makes the situation much worse. I tried every strategy. Hey you! Too obvious. My friend, too suspicious. How have you been? A temporary solution to a permanent problem. At one point I considered introducing them to somebody else, just to hear their name out loud. Desperation encourages creative thinking. I forgot the person's name. The confidence is fading, the panic is growing. I forgot the person's name, and we're approaching the handshake phase, where names become especially relevant. Maybe memory has priorities, maybe it saves song lyrics, random facts, and the location of a restaurant you visited 6 years ago. Then sacrifices a co-worker's name to make room for all of it. I forgot the person's name, not because they aren't important, not because I wasn't listening, not because my brain enjoys creating tension. I forgot the person's name because somewhere inside my head a filing cabinet was organized by a committee. And honestly, I have concerns about their methods. I checked my phone for no reason. There was nothing I was looking for. I checked my phone for no reason, and somehow it still happened. I was doing something important, or at least something adjacent to important. The task was open, the focus was present, the momentum existed. Then my hand reached for my phone like it had received independent instructions from another department. The body moved, the brain arrived later. I checked my phone for no reason. There was nothing I was looking for. I checked my phone for no reason, and somehow it still happened. No messages, no updates, no breaking news, just me and a perfectly ordinary lock screen. I unlocked it, opened an app, closed the app, opened another app, then another. then somehow returned to the exact place I started without learning anything useful. The entire journey lasted 2 minutes and achieved absolutely nothing. Efficiency was not invited. I checked my phone for no reason. The curiosity was vague, the commitment was strong. I checked my phone for no reason, and honestly, I'm impressed by the consistency. At this point, it's less of a habit and more of a reflex. Maybe we're all searching for something, a message, an update, a tiny surprise, a brief interruption to whatever we're doing. Or maybe we're just checking to confirm the internet still exists. I checked my phone for no reason, not because something happened, not because someone needed me, not because the phone called out my name. I checked my phone for no reason, because somewhere between boredom and curiosity, my brain quietly decided that whatever I was doing could wait. And honestly, it makes that decision quite often. I rehearsed an argument that never happened, and somehow I still lost sleep. I rehearsed an argument that never happened. The preparation was excellent. It started with a comment, a tiny comment, a completely harmless little comment. Then my brain took that comment, built a scenario, expanded the scenario, added dramatic lighting and several imaginary supporting characters for realism. The budget for this production was surprisingly high. I rehearsed an argument that never happened, and somehow I still lost sleep. I rehearsed an argument that never happened. The preparation was excellent. I had responses, counter arguments, closing statements, and at least 3 opportunities for applause. In my version, they said something rude, then I delivered the perfect reply. Calm, witty, devastating, the kind of comeback nobody has ever said in real life at normal speed. Then the next day I saw them and we talked about the weather. Reality continues to disappoint my screenplay. I rehearsed an argument that never happened. The conflict was fictional, the emotions were real. I rehearsed an argument that never happened, and honestly the reviews were mixed. The audience was small, mostly me, but I remained highly engaged. Maybe everyone does this, builds entire conversations inside their head, wins imaginary debates, accepts imaginary awards, delivers imaginary speeches to imaginary crowds, then spends the next day buying groceries like none of it happened. I rehearsed an argument that never happened. Not because I enjoy stress, not because conflict is fun, not because my brain runs a community theater. I rehearsed an argument that never happened, because somewhere between anxiety and imagination, my mind decided to prepare for every possible future, except the one that actually occurred.
should probably drink water. I've been thinking about it all day. I should probably drink water. The evidence is becoming difficult to ignore. I had coffee, then another coffee, then something with even more coffee. The day was moving, the tasks were moving. My hydration strategy was not moving. At one point, I looked directly at a glass of water and still chose a different beverage for reasons I cannot defend. The water waited patiently. I should probably drink water. I've been thinking about it all day. I should probably drink water. The evidence is becoming difficult to ignore. My mouth is dry, my energy is weird, and somehow I'm still acting like this information is new. The water bottle is right there, within reach, within sight, within the category of things I should absolutely be using. Instead, I've spent several hours researching productivity while ignoring the most basic maintenance requirement. For being a person, the solution appears remarkably accessible. I should probably drink water. The challenge is simple, the commitment is complex. I should probably drink water. And honestly, I'm running out of excuses at this point. The plants in my house are receiving better care than I am. Maybe adulthood is mostly remembering tiny things over and over. Drink water, get enough sleep, stand up occasionally. The instructions for being human aren't complicated, they're just surprisingly easy to forget. I should probably drink water, not because water is exciting, not because hydration wins awards, not because a glass of water will solve my life. I should probably drink water because I've spent so much time optimizing everything else that I accidentally forgot the maintenance schedule for the actual human running the operation. I accidentally became the group expert. This was never part of the plan. I accidentally became the group expert, and now people keep asking me things. It started with one answer, a simple answer, a lucky answer, the kind of answer anyone could have given. Unfortunately, I gave it first, which apparently created the impression that I knew what I was doing. A dangerous misunderstanding. Reputation builds faster than evidence. I accidentally became the group expert. This was never part of the plan. I accidentally became the group expert, and now people keep asking me things. Every answer creates another question, and every question feels increasingly above my pay grade. Someone asked for advice, then another person asked for advice. Then somebody introduced me as the expert, which was alarming because I was present to hear it. At one point, I started receiving messages beginning with, "You'll know this." And honestly, I wasn't sure I would. Confidence has been mistaken for confidence. accidentally became the group expert. The expectations are growing, the qualifications are not. I accidentally became the group expert, and the situation is developing quickly. Every time I learn one thing, people immediately assume I know the next 10 things too. Maybe expertise is just this, knowing slightly more than everyone else about one specific thing, then desperately trying to stay one chapter ahead of your reputation before someone discovers the truth. I accidentally became the group expert, not because I'm a genius, not because I studied harder, not because I possess secret knowledge. I accidentally became the group expert because one time I knew the answer, and now an entire group has collectively decided to ignore all available evidence to the contrary. I read the first 3 sentences. That felt like a solid effort. I read the first 3 sentences. The rest became tomorrow's problem. The article was long, very long, the kind of long that begins with the reading time. Instead of a title, I sat down, prepared to learn, prepared to focus, prepared to become a more informed person. Then I reached sentence number 4, and things became complicated. Curiosity arrived, attention left. I read the first 3 sentences. That felt like a solid effort. I read the first 3 sentences. The rest became tomorrow's problem. I understand the introduction extremely well. The remaining details remain mysterious. The first sentence set the scene. The second sentence added context. The third sentence raised important questions. Then my brain spotted a notification, a memory, a random thought about whether penguins have knees. And suddenly the article lost a difficult competition for attention. The focus was brief but sincere. I read the first 3 sentences. The ambition was strong, the execution wandered off. I read the first 3 sentences, and honestly I'm counting that as progress. At this rate, I'll finish the entire article sometime during the next administration. Maybe learning isn't always dramatic. Maybe sometimes it's reading 3 sentences, getting distracted, coming back later, reading 2 more, getting distracted again, and somehow accumulating knowledge, 1 interruption at a time. I read the first 3 sentences, not because the article was bad, not because the topic was boring, not because my brain enjoys creating obstacles. I read the first 3 sentences because somewhere between intention and concentration, my attention span saw an open exit, and immediately took it. That wasn't the light switch. I was so confident for a moment. That wasn't the light switch. And now we're dealing with consequences. It was late, the room was dark. I knew exactly what I was doing, or at least I believed I knew exactly what I was doing. My hand reached out, found a switch, pressed the switch, and immediately learned something new. Knowledge arrived, unexpectedly. That wasn't the light switch. I was so confident for a moment. That wasn't the light switch. And now we're dealing with consequences. Something beep, something move, something activated for reasons nobody fully understands. Maybe it was a fan, maybe it was a timer, maybe it controlled an appliance I haven't used since last winter. Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't the thing I was aiming for, which somehow made it easier to find. Accuracy remains a work in progress. That wasn't the light switch. The intention was correct, the execution explored alternatives. That wasn't the light switch. And honestly, that's on brand at this point. I spend a surprising amount of my life discovering things by accident. Maybe every house has mysteries, buttons, switches, settings, functions nobody remembers until they're activated at the least convenient possible moment, usually in the dark. That wasn't the light switch. Not because the switch moved, not because the room changed, not because technology launched a personal campaign against me. That wasn't the light switch. Because somewhere between certainty and reality, I made a very confident guess. And honestly, the confidence was the most incorrect part. I have 27 open tabs. Every one of them feels important. I have 27 open tabs, and I refuse to close them. It started with one tab, a perfectly reasonable single tab. Then another tab for context, another tab for comparison, another tab for something I might need later. And now my browser looks less like software and more like a cry for help. The research expanded, the mission did not. I have 27 open tabs. Every one of them feels important. I have 27 open tabs, and I refuse to close them. What if I need that article? What if I need that video? What if I need that recipe from 11 months ago? Some tabs are current, some tabs are ancient, some tabs have survived operating system updates, at least 3 holidays and several major life decisions. I no longer remember opening them, but deleting them feels irresponsible somehow. Hope requires storage. Apparently, I have 27 open tabs. The browser is struggling, the optimism remains. I have 27 open tabs, and honestly, there could be more. Every tab represents a future version of me who definitely plans to come back and finish reading. Maybe tabs aren't really tabs. Maybe they're promises, tiny promises to learn something, do something, watch something, fix something, become something eventually. When time magically appears, I have 27 open tabs. Not because I need them all, not because organization failed, not because my browser enjoys suffering. I have 27 open tabs because somewhere deep inside I still believe future me is going to become the change one thing, turn everything off, go to sleep. Wake up refreshed, a flawless strategy, a beautiful strategy, a strategy that existed for approximately 7 minutes before I noticed something interesting. The night was quiet, the internet was not. I meant to go to bed an hour ago, maybe 2. I meant to go to bed an hour ago, and yet here we are. One video became 3, one article became 6, one quick check became an entire subplot. At some point I crossed a line, a very specific line, where going to bed would have been sensible. Now I'm committed to a completely different experience. The clock keeps moving, the consequences keep approaching, and somehow I'm still researching things that absolutely could have waited until tomorrow. Tomorrow is becoming increasingly relevant. I meant to go to bed an hour ago. The intention was excellent, the follow-through escaped. I meant to go to bed an hour ago, and honestly, I miss that version of me, the optimistic version who believed this would be easy. Maybe every night contains a negotiation between the person you are and the person who has to wake up in the morning. Unfortunately, only one of those people gets a vote at this hour. I meant to go to bed an hour ago, not because sleep is optional, not because the day isn't over, not because my responsibilities have disappeared. I meant to go to bed an hour ago, because somewhere between one more minute and what time is it? An entire evening quietly slipped past. And honestly, I should probably stop reading lyrics about staying up late and go to sleep. I remember this differently. My version was much more convincing. I remember this differently, and I'm beginning to have questions. Someone brought up an old story, a harmless story, a familiar story, the kind of story you've told yourself so many times it feels official. Then they started describing events, and none of it matched the movie playing in my head. Memory is creative, apparently. I remember this differently. My version was much more convincing. I remember this, and I'm beginning to have questions. In my version, I was prepared. In my version, I was impressive. In my version, the timing worked out beautifully. retold, reorganized, until the details become optional and the emotions take over the job completely. I remember this differently, not because anyone is lying, not because reality changed, not because history was rewritten overnight. I remember this differently because somewhere between what happened and what I remembered, my brain hired a screenwriter, and honestly, they've been taking some creative liberties. I was productive for 7 minutes. It was glorious while it lasted. I was productive for 7 minutes, and honestly, I'm still proud. The focus arrived without warning. No distractions, no interruptions, no mysterious urge to reorganize something that didn't need reorganizing. Just me, the task, and a level of efficiency normally reserved for fictional characters. Everything was working, which felt suspicious. I was productive for 7 minutes. It was glorious while it lasted. I was productive for 7 minutes, and honestly, I'm still proud. The emails moved, the list got shorter, the future looked bright and organized for a brief, shining moment. Then a thought appeared, a tiny thought, an innocent thought, the kind of thought that says, I'll just check one thing. History records that this was a tactical error. 45 minutes later, I possessed several new facts and exactly 0 additional progress. Momentum is fragile, curiosity is not. I was productive for 7 minutes. The streak ended, but the legend remains. I was productive for 7 minutes, and honestly, that's longer than some attempts have lasted recently. Maybe productivity isn't a permanent state. Maybe it's weather. Sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, sometimes disappearing the second you acknowledge its existence out loud. I was productive for 7 minutes, not because the task was easy, not because I suddenly evolved, not because the universe granted special privileges. I was productive for 7 minutes because sometimes everything lines up and you actually do the thing you meant to do before your attention wanders off again. And honestly, 7 minutes is better than 0. Maybe everybody is guessing, maybe nobody knows the secret plan. Maybe everybody is guessing and just walking around like they don't. watched experts discuss a problem. They were thoughtful, careful, intelligence, experienced. Then one of them said, "We don't know yet," which was honestly the most reassuring thing anyone had said. All day certainty is rarer than advertised. Maybe everybody is guessing, the job titles change, the mystery remains. Maybe everybody is guessing and doing the best they can. Some people guess with spreadsheets. Some people guess with confidence. Some people guess with impressive presentations. Maybe growing up isn't learning all the answers. Maybe it's learning which questions nobody can answer and getting comfortable living in the space between certainty and reality. Maybe everybody is guessing, not because knowledge doesn't matter, not because experience is useless, not because nobody understands anything. Maybe everybody is guessing because life keeps changing faster than the rule book. And honestly, the people who admit it seem a lot more trustworthy than the people who claim to have figured out everything. Nobody knows what they're doing, not completely, not all the time. Nobody knows what they're doing, and somehow everything keeps going. The teacher had questions, the manager had questions, the expert had questions, the person on television had questions. The people I thought had everything figured out turned out to be people doing their best with the information available at the time, which suddenly explains quite a lot. Nobody knows what they're doing, not completely, not all the time. Nobody knows what they're doing, and somehow everything keeps going. The plans keep changing, the world keeps moving, the answers arrive one step behind the questions. I've forgotten rooms, open fridges, lost passwords, missed bedtimes, rehearsed arguments that never happened, collected tabs, delayed water, confused Tuesdays. And honestly, the more people I talk to, the more it sounds like everybody else has too. The evidence is growing rapidly. Nobody knows what they're doing. The confidence varies, the uncertainty remains. Nobody knows what they're doing, and maybe that's okay. Some people hide it, some people admit it, some people write entire songs about it. For example, maybe being human was never about having all the answers. Maybe it's about showing up, making mistakes, learning things, forgetting things, trying again and laughing when the plan goes completely sideways. Maybe that's enough. Nobody knows what they're doing, not because people are careless, not because the world is impossible, not because everything is chaos. Nobody knows what they're doing, because life is bigger than any instruction manual, and we're all figuring it out. One weird day, one forgotten password, one open tab, one fridge visit, one nap at a time. And honestly, that's kind of comforting, isn't it?